Well, today, I don't know what day is this. It's maybe the 18th, 19th of January. It's almost sundown. I decided to take a walk in an area I'm really familiar with. And here's something that's interesting. See this tree? Look where it's broke, about 18 inches up. It's broke. It's along the trail I'm walking on. And the tree is facing to it will be south, right? About 2-3 inch diameter tree. No, yeah, about right. And broken. It's fairly fresh. I mean, look at it. So I keep walking, and about 20 feet to the north, look what we got here. We have it again. Bent facing to the north. Same size tree, same diameter tree, which is really kind of funny. And they're only about, I'd say, 20 feet. We got one over there. There. Gotta forgive me. The light's getting low and I'm blind in one eye, so it's kind of hard for me to see. So that's interesting. And obviously, nothing has fallen on it. Right? Nothing. So let's look at this one. Now, I am not one that goes into reading tree structures and stuff. And I fell asleep. And see, we got that. It's just, is it a coincidence? Did two young trees broken at the same height? I mean, that's about 18 inches knee high. Same height. No apparent reason. Facing opposite directions, same size tree. Come on. No apparent reason for it to be broken. What are the odds of that? Straight linear line, literally. Interesting, huh? Interesting. So, anyway, I decided that I was going to just come on in here, take a walk. I had a couple interesting vocalizations, but I don't know if they were. Sound like a rusty gate hinge being opened. Had to happen twice. Now, I didn't pay too much attention to it. Oh, where am I with this lovely phone, huh? You gotta forgive me. I'm, man. So, I decided to kind of walk in here, take a walk, see what I was up to. I've only seen footprints in the snow once. And it looked like a toddler, or not even a about a toddler size. I've only had that once, but I did hear something that sounded like a rusty gate being opened twice. And there's a little bit of wind, and I just figured it was two trees rubbing together. I always look for the most reasonable explanation for sounds and so on and so forth. It's right at the right time. Sun's starting to go down. I haven't heard anything. I haven't picked up on anything. So, what is there to say? Do I have any words of wisdom here? What I typically do is I just, this is a nice time to go just before it gets dark. And I'll walk a little way and then I'll generally stop and listen. And it's dead silent. But that's nothing unusual for me to hear. It's dead silent. I hear some geese. And I did hear a red-bellied woodpecker when I came in. Really common. That's a common woodpecker. And I outside of there might be some mixed flocks of chickadees with downy woodpeckers floating around here and there, and I tend to hear them when I can. I'm walking along looking for footprints. I mean, just looking for prints in general, just see what's going on here. It's just basically the typical stuff. Squirrels, rabbits, deer. Not much snow on the ground at the moment, considering it is January. Definitely hear some geese, plenty of geese. It's a very pleasant evening, I should say. It's upper 40s, and considering the time of year, you can't complain. I'm walking in an interesting place at the moment, where I was coming out of here once with a friend of mine. There were actually two of us, and we had one of the big guys laying face down next to the trail. It was right over here somewhere. It was right over here. Right, we make a bend on a turn here, and he was laying on the ground face down with his face, and he looked up. Scared the hell out of my buddy who was right in front of me. We kind of stumbled over backwards on each other. And the big guy got up and just floundered off in that particular direction. That was a really interesting night, that one. So, well, I'm kind of tickled to find those little trees. I just generally don't look for stick structures and stuff. If I'm in a new spot, I might do that. But I'm just not in a new spot. The big guys are pretty familiar with me here. Two trees over the... Well, I haven't been here in a while. Let me show this real fast. There's one tree laying across the path, and another tree laying across the path. What does that mean? Is it done on purpose? Is it just chance? Possibly. I try not to read too much into that stuff. I just look for obvious things. They're both broke. And it's very possible they went. And they're the same size. Once again, if you looked at those, they're the same size trees. Exactly. And they have broken across. And fell across at the same angle. Which is even more interesting. If you look at it. If you look at it. They're both at the same angle. That one there. And the one right behind it. Who knows? So to some of the people watching this, the Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Sebe, Oma, wild people, wild men, whatever you want to call them, they are definitely real. It's kind of a big shock for me to discover this, to be honest with you. And what it came down to in the end was I realized that our government has to know. And then the big question is, why don't they tell us? Why is this a big secret? Why isn't anybody informed about it? I could come up with a lot of reasons for that, that I've kind of made up in my mind, but if some schmuck like me can discover these beings are real, and people need to understand that these are not apes, these are not gorillas, they're a type of people. We had some interesting things happen in this particular spot. Let's see, what do we got here? Nothing worth looking at. So, these are some type of people with language. If you have language, you have culture. Where you have culture, you have a belief system. And no matter what anybody tells you, don't believe any other nonsense otherwise. Whatever you see on TV or whatever. This is generally longer than I make things, but I'm coming to a spot that I probably had the most hair-raising experience with my buddy and I, sitting in the dark, and where I had one that was stalking me from behind for about a half an hour, and that was an interesting night. And as I was there, we knew he was coming, and he would just break a branch here and there. I just hear him coming up. It took him about half an hour to creep up on me, and I just ignored it, pretended it didn't exist. And in the process, I was counting in my head when he was going to be upon me, and then he rushed at me, and he was coming, and I counted right around the time where he should grab me. And there was like 1, 2, 3, 1, boom, he should be there. I jumped up out of that seat so fast, and he was there. It was just so dark, you couldn't make out. It was just a big dark form that I could have touched. And anyway, that was an interesting evening. I didn't run out screaming like a little girl. It's a little unnerving, but nonetheless, it's kind of funny. Wow, it's amazing how stuff grows up, and you don't come out in a long time, and then you look around and you go, geez, what happened? I think the proper scientific term is called succession, where you start out with an empty field, you leave it alone long enough, and grass grows, and then shrubs grow, and then small trees grow, and eventually you end up with a mature forest. That is the term used. And the spot where I'm standing used to be, it was pretty much grassy. It was like a small area that was carved out. It was grassy. And all this stuff was filled in. So I was kind of hoping something interesting would happen. But I'd have to be in here once it got dark. Now, if it was warmer and there was a lot of foliage, I think it would be a lot different, because one of the things I've learned over the years is when the trees and stuff are bare like this, they will stay further back, watching you from a much further distance than you would know. So Anyway, I just basically kind of turned this on so I can film those two trees. I thought that was pretty cool. Makes you wonder, you know, maybe it's a natural occurrence, maybe it isn't. I'm not automatically going to say they did that, but look at the statistical odds of two trees like that being like that. So, anyway, I think I will say goodbye. I don't think anybody was looking for anything too exciting. But I guess the best thing to do is be aware that anytime you go out into any places, woodlands, you know, wild places, be aware that there are Sasquatch there, there are Bigfoot there. I don't know how many is anybody's guess, but they are there. And they will be watching. Oh, and I see down the trails another log laid across the trail, same direction. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Well, I'm going to hang around here for a little while. The sun starts to set. See if anything happens. Of course, when it does, it'll be when the camera's off, as it always is, as I learned the hard way. Till next time.